Oh, hello. Today we are doing a big ol' trope-tastic tier ranking video. I've been seeing a variant of this going around for a while, because people love tier ranking videos, myself included, which is why we're doing this. But recently I've been particularly inspired by a video that Read with Cindy did and a video that Alexa Dunn did, ranking, in Cindy's case, fan fiction like romance kink kind of tropes, and Alexa did one on thriller tropes, and it made me want to make like a big ol' like cross genre, all the tropes, and just like ranking all of them. I think I have like almost 80 tropes that I identified, so we're gonna have to move pretty quickly so that this is not interminably long, but I thought that this might be kind of fun. I enjoy watching these. I hope you guys will enjoy this as well. So without further ado, let's dive into the tier maker. So I've made my little tier list, including all these really cute little icons. I'm actually kind of proud of these, but you know, whatever. I had a lot of time on a night when I was feeling very slumpy and couldn't read anything. So I made some cute icons, and here is how I'm ranking these. So first of all, my top level is put it in my eyeballs. This means I love this. If I see any hint of this on the back cover copy, like sold, unless there's just something else about it that would, you know, completely put me off, like I'm gonna be into this. So put it in my eyeballs. You will quickly see examples of where you know that this is my thing. Yep, I'm into it means like, yeah, I like this trope. I enjoy it when I see it. It's not like an auto buy kind of thing for me, but I like it when it shows up. Good as a mix-in is, I don't necessarily want it to be like the only thing going on in the book, but like I'm into it as an element of a book or as a part of the overall kind of trope mix. So it's good as a mix-in. Execution dependent means I can like this trope, but it depends on how the author sells it to me or like how they execute that trope within the book. So I can either, it's kind of like love it or hate it, like it just depends. I think Alexa Dunn and hers called this trash or treasure. It's that kind of idea. Like I can love it, but it can also go horribly, horribly wrong for me. And then hard sell is I don't really like this trope. I can be persuaded to give it a try, but it's like not a favorite. And I would say in general, I don't like it. So it's not like I will never read it, but it's a hard sell. Hot water trash are things I hate and like pretty much never am gonna be okay with. There's not a lot of these, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So with that being said, let's dive on in to all of these tropes because there's a lot of them, so we got a lot of ground to cover. Okay, Snowed In. This is between put it in my eyeballs and yep, I'm into it. I'm gonna say put it in my eyeballs because I like this across. Another thing I'm gonna mention is that if it's a trope I like across genres, I'm gonna defer to bumping it up because I like this in a mystery. I like this in a romance. Like if people are snowed in together, that tends to be something I love. Isolated close circle mystery. Do we even need to say it? Like this is my all-time favorite trope. In fact, let's put it where it belongs at the very tippity top. So isolated close circle mystery is my all-time favorite trope. We're all stuck together, often through snow, and someone starts killing people. You got to figure out who done it. Love it. Cults. So I definitely enjoy a cult book. I'm between yep, I'm into it and good as a mix-in. I'm gonna say good as a mix-in. I think that books that are only about cults or like that's the only thing going on, it's not always my favorite. So I think, but I like it there. If I see it on the back cover copy and there's other things going on I enjoy, it's definitely a selling point. Fake dating is another put it in my eyeballs trope. I absolutely love fake dating. I love like all of the different machinations that people come up with to make that seem remotely plausible. I love it. Okay, and then marriage of convenience is basically the same thing. It's a variant on fake dating, except in this case, like you are actually in a committed relationship for reasons, but you're gonna slowly fall in love with each other, and I love it. So, I feel like we're hitting a lot of my favorites up here front. Let me scroll down here to something I hate. Okay, gay villain. I am gonna say that is hot water trash. It's not that gay people cannot be villainous or queer people cannot be villainous, but it is such a like overused and like homophobic in its underlying core of where it came from trope. The bad guy ending up being gay It's been done to death. It's got problematic roots. And like in the year of our Lord 2021, we don't need it. So I'm going to say that one's hot water trash. Oh, unreliable narrator. Okay. I'm gonna say this one's execution dependent. There are different kind of ways that this trope gets executed, and this actually could probably be a whole discussion unto itself. Some of them I enjoy, so like if it ends up that like there's like a slow realization that the narrator is not reliable, that tends to be more what I enjoy, but it is very execution dependent because sometimes I think it feels like it's sort of a cheap trick as opposed to something that's really earned. But like I said, I think that could probably be a whole video, which might be true of many of these execution dependent ones, but yeah, like I can love it, but sometimes I think it ends up feeling a little cheesy. Okay, now that we've not all just had everything I love, let's go back up here. Because slow burn romance is another put it in my eyeballs. I love a slow burn. Mariana Zapata is the queen of the slow burn. I do find a lot of times when romance is mixed in with other genres, often that will end up lending itself to a slow burn, and I love it. So that's a put it in my eyeballs. Love triangle, I'm gonna say I'm a hard sell. There have been love triangles in books that I have enjoyed. It's not that I can never like it, but I am just a hard sell on it, and I think at this point you've got to kind of have a more interesting take on a love triangle for me to be very into it. Chosen one, I'm gonna say is good as a mix-in because I think it's good as a mix-in. I am not somebody who in my fantasy books loves just a pure chosen one trope, like if that's the only real trope thing that's happening. That's not necessarily my favorite, but if it's an element of what's going on in the story, I think that can be fun. Like I think the Poppy War is a good example of Ren is kind of a version of a chosen one, but I think that she plays with it. Anyway, I think it can work. It's just not. I don't want it to be the only thing happening. Okay, only one bed. Again, that's an all-time favorite. If there is an insinuation of that, I'm gonna be excited about it because I'm trash for it. Put it in my eyeballs. I love it. Locked room mystery. You might be surprised to hear that this is a yep, I'm into it, because I don't love locked room mysteries the way I love isolated closed circle mysteries. They are related tropes, but they are slightly different because a locked room mystery can happen in the past and then we are investigating it like as a past event, whereas an isolated closed circle mystery, to me, like a key piece of what's going on is like you can't get away from it. Like all of the detecting is having to happen in the present because there is an imminent threat, as opposed to locked room mystery, like maybe, you know, somebody died and you're investigating it later. So I do enjoy it, but I don't love it in the same way. Secret baby, I'm gonna go with it's a hard sell. I don't really love a secret. Well, let me rephrase this. I really don't like a secret baby in a romance. There's been a couple of times it's happened where I could like make my peace with it. I am more open to a secret baby in a thriller kind of context, but even then it's just not, I just don't love it. I find it to have like this underlying core of manipulation that's just hard for me to like really get into. So that's how I feel about it. Then we've got siblings best friend. I'm gonna call that, yep, I'm into it. Like that's a trope I like. This is basically a romance trope where like either you're falling in love with your sibling's best friend or the sibling is falling in love with the best friend. Like that whole thing, I can get into it. I do think it's fun. It's not like an all-time favorite, but I do like it. I'm gonna say that recently The Gods Walk Among Us in fantasy is gonna get promoted to put it in my eyeballs because I've realized I just really do love that in a fantasy. I just think it sets up a lot of really interesting world building, usually some interesting conflict, and I'm just into it. I really love that one these days. Fated Mate. I'm gonna say, I'm between yep, I'm into it and good as a mix-in because here's my thought process. I do actually really like fated mates in paranormal, like speculative romance, basically. I do enjoy it in that context. It typically means that the main conflict is external. So, you know, I'm gonna say yes, it's good as a mix-in because what I like about a fated mate trope is that there is some internal conflict, but usually there's a lot of external conflict in those kinds of stories, and I'm into that. So I'm gonna say good as a mix-in. Okay, next one is Danger Boner. And Danger Boner is basically romantic suspense, and the trope is like we're on the run but we're also like getting it on, And I'm gonna call this one execution dependent. I think that there are times where it can be fun in a romantic suspense, but then there's also times, like I read one, I guess last year, that was set in Antarctica, and they're like getting it on in sub-zero. I just was like, really? Now is not the time to have any of your bits exposed to the elements. So anyway, I'm gonna call that one execution dependent. Sometimes I can have fun with it, but it depends on how it goes. Police procedural, I'm gonna say, yep, I'm into it. There are definitely ones I like better than others, but as a rule, I mean, I grew up on Law and Order, so I do just enjoy a police procedural. We'll talk about a specific kind of detective in that I don't like, but like in principle, yes, I do enjoy a police procedural. And like I guess the other way to think about this is like POV detective. I tend to prefer POV detective over the way a lot of domestic thrillers tend to have their POV set up. So I know on BookTube, I think I'm somewhat unusual in that respect, but that is my personal preference. POV timeline trickery. I'm between hard sell and execution dependent. I'm gonna say execution dependent because I have seen this done well in a way that I enjoyed, but I often feel like this is not earned and can be kind of just like a way to disguise the fact that there are just some fundamental story issues that people are having. So basically what this trope is like, you think that you're in the future, but actually you're still in the past, or like you think that there's one person telling you the story, but actually like they're two different characters or whatever. Like I think sometimes that reveal, oh, I should have put it was all a dream. Oh, I'm so bitter I didn't do that because I hate it was all a dream. Can I add that? Maybe I can go back and add that. I don't know. I don't know how to do that, but okay, I'm gonna put that in hot water trash because I'm also gonna put it was all a dream lumped into POV timeline trickery, and I fucking hate that so much. I feel like it's such a cop-out, and I do in general just feel like it is possible for this to work, but I think very, very few authors pull it off, so... And I hate it was all a dream, so I talked myself into hating that one. Mental illness trope. Basically, okay, I'm gonna put this in hard sell because I have seen instances where this is done well. Actually, let's even just upgrade this to execution dependent. I'm thinking of one of the Ice Planet Barbarian books where we find out later in the series that one of the characters has generalized anxiety disorder, and it like totally recontextualizes some of what you've experienced from that character previously. So like, I think that there are ways for people to have mental illness as like a reveal in a way that like deepens the characters' interactions with each other. But I do think it's often A, not done respectfully or well, and B, again, feels sort of like a cheap trick kind of a thing. So execution dependent, there are scenarios in which I think that this can work. Secrets from the past. I'm gonna say, yep, I'm into it. I like this pretty much across genres. Like anytime there's something that was happening, like kind of a past mystery that people are uncovering, I tend to be into that. So across genre, that one tends to work pretty well for me. Same with Return to Your Hometown. This happens in both like romances and mystery thriller things that I enjoy. So I tend to like that as sort of a plot setup kind of a situation. So that one definitely works for me. Amnesia. Ooh, I'm gonna put this in hard sell. I think you see this in mystery and romance. Again, those tend to be the ones that I see it most often in. And I do think it can feel emotionally manipulative and sort of like a cheap trick often. I have seen situations where it's done well, or I just happen to be in the mood to be emotionally manipulated in that way, so I got into it. So it's not a thing I never enjoy, but it's something that I often don't love. I'm gonna say podcast investigative journalist is good as a mix-in. Like actually, now that I'm looking at this, cults and podcast investigative journalists, those two things together work really well for me. For instance, I recently read The Project from Courtney Summer that did this, and I thought that was an effective combo in that particular book. So I do think that I like it with something else. I definitely do enjoy it, but it's not enough to stand on its own, usually. Dual timeline. Oh, you guys know. Okay, I'm gonna call that a hard sell. Or is it execution dependent? I'm gonna say execution dependent, actually. Okay, I can like a dual timeline, but again, much like the comments I was saying about POV/timeline trickery before I decided that it was all a dream fell in there and moved it to the bottom. I do think it often is a cover for structural weaknesses in a story, and if that feels to me, in my subjective opinion, like that's why the author is doing it, I don't tend to like it, but I can like it. It can be done well, so I think that's a good example of execution dependent, actually. Don't trust your husband in a mystery. I'm gonna put that one as a hard sell. It's been done in like a way, if the conflict of the mystery is like, ooh, can I trust my partner? I don't love it, but I've seen it pulled off okay, or it didn't ruin the book for me. I don't enjoy it, but like, it can be a part of a book in a way that I don't absolutely hate it. Whereas infidelity as a plot, as the twist or conflict, I hate. I just don't like it, and this is why I honestly struggle to find a lot of adult domestic thrillers that I enjoy, because I just think it's such a cliche at this point. Like, find something else, like find another way to have conflict. Like, it just drives me crazy. It's a pet peeve. I don't like it. Hot water trash for me. Another hot water trash is somebody being trans as a twist. This is also could be like being gay as a twist. No thank you. Again, it's 2021. Like, let's move on. No thank you. Same for Bury Your Gays. This is basically like we introduce gay characters to make it feel like we have more diversity or inclusion, and then we kill them all off. Like, again, please, we've seen this far too long in media. Let's move on. Okay, workplace romance. Ooh. I can't, interestingly, I'm between yep, I'm into it and execution dependent, because it can go very badly wrong. I am secretly, even though I know in real life the power dynamic is awful, I do secretly kind of like this though. So I'm gonna leave it as, yes, I'm into it, but that feels like I feel bad admitting that I do in fact enjoy that. Okay, oh man, we still got quite a bit to get through, so let's keep on chugging here. Small Town Secrets, yep, I'm into it. I tend to enjoy small town thrillers more than I do domestic thrillers, because I do like basically a conglomeration of domestic thriller type conflicts across multiple characters in a small town setting works better for me than just a single domestic thriller kind of situation. Grump and Sunshine. This is a romance trope that, again, I'm very much into. I really like it when it's gender flipped, because it's often the dude is the grump, the girl's the sunshine. I really enjoy it when that gets flipped, but that's a setup I do enjoy. Okay, Kick-Ass Heroine. I'm gonna call this execution dependent, because some of my all-time favorite books have a stereotypical kick-ass heroine in some way, but I feel like they're executed well, so it doesn't become manic pixie dream ass kicker. Kate Daniels is a good example of that. Her character is executed in a way that she's not a manic pixie dream girl type, but I think that heroine type in speculative fiction often kind of goes that way. Noir, detective, in between, hot water trash, hard sell. Okay, I have enjoyed a noir detective at some point, so I'm gonna say that is a hard sell for me. I don't tend to like that sort of super cynical edge to my, like the edge, well, we also have edgelord main character. I'm gonna call that hot water trash. I think noir detectives can verge into edgelords, and that I don't like. If it's not that, I can make my peace with it. But an edgelord main character, my least favorite book of all time is The Magicians, and that Quentin in that book is like, to me, the poster child for an edgelord main character that I cannot deal with. Morally gray main character, I'm also gonna call execution dependent. I think sometimes they're not actually morally gray. They verge into either actually bad, like there's no gray, they're just bad, or they verge into like edgelord territory. It can go that way. But if it's truly like ambiguous, that I'm more into, and like I enjoy that. So execution dependent there. A redeemed villain. I do tend to like that. I mean, it's somewhat execution dependent. I'm gonna call it good as a mix-in, because like I don't like that to be the only thing going on in a book, but I definitely can get into that. I do think it can be done well. Another good as a mix-in is the creepy kid trope. If done well, it is a very effective way to make me feel extremely uncomfortable as a reader. So I wouldn't want that to be the only trope going on, but I do think it's effective. The Shadows from Alex North last year, I thought had a very effective creepy kid. Found family. I'm gonna call that Put It in My Eyeballs. I absolutely love this. This is why I tend to enjoy small town romance or cozier mysteries with smaller communities, because you tend to have a little bit more of this going on. But I do just love kind of familial dynamics, including found familial dynamics. Road trip or quest, I'm gonna call that good as a mix-in. I do enjoy it, but do I like it just on its own? No, I usually want it in combination with something. So in contemporaries, a road trip plus other tropes I like can work for me. And in like a fantasy or sci-fi, a quest plus something else can work well for me. Magic school, I'm gonna say, yep, I'm into it. I'm not gonna say it will like automatically, that's a lie. If I say magic school, I actually am. No. Okay, there's a different one coming up that is actually put it in my eyeballs. I'm gonna call it, yep, I'm into it, verging on put it in my eyeballs, because I do really enjoy a magic school in general. Medieval fantasy world, I'm gonna call that a hard sell for me at this point, because like, I just am kind of over basic bitch medieval fantasy, like stock fantasy world. I just think it's been done a lot. There are ways to get around it. And if there's other tropes happening in it that I really enjoy, I'll overlook it. But at this point, it's just been done to death, I feel like, in a lot of ways. So I'm a little hard sell on that. Friends to lovers, I'm gonna call that, yep, I'm into it. I know that that's somewhat unpopular. I think a lot of people prefer enemies to lovers or hate to love, which we'll get to, but I do enjoy friends to lovers. A MacGuffin is good as a mix-in. MacGuffin is basically like an object that everybody is trying to find for like kind of plot hand-wavium reasons. Like, it's fine. I like that as a mix-in. It can be in the mix. I enjoy it. Here comes the cavalry. I think I'm gonna call that execution dependent, because I do think that that can verge into Deus Ex Machina territory if not handled well. But if you get like the two towers, here comes the cavalry kind of moment, it can definitely be very fun. So I can really enjoy that. It just sort of depends on how the author uses it. Morality chain. I'm gonna say, yep, I'm into it. I know. Okay, morality chain is basically where one of your main characters is a terrible person, and the only thing keeping them from like fully embracing their dark side is the love of their partner. And I do just love that. My favorite book in the Side Changeling series, which is book number 12, Heart of Obsidian, is definitely Morality Chain. And it can be done badly, but I do enjoy it. I can't lie, I am one to enjoy that. Secret Heir, I'm gonna call that execution dependent. Again, I think that can feel a little Deus Ex Machina if not set up properly, but it can be fun to find out a character you've been hanging with actually is the secret princess, secret whatever, like that can be fun. Time travel, I'm also gonna call execution dependent. I have books I love that have a big time travel element to them. I'm thinking like The Light Brigade by Cameron Hurley, but I do think that often time travel books don't include, like, they don't sufficiently confront the moral implications of the scenario they're setting up, and that doesn't work as well for me. So execution dependent, I would say. Apolitical dystopia. I'm gonna say yes, I'm into that. I do tend to like it basically when it's dystopian because of like terrible government. That I tend to like a little bit more than what I called biological dystopia. I probably should have called that like natural dystopia. Like I'm thinking like a zombie or like a viral outbreak or something like that, or the asteroid has come and hit the earth, whatever. Those I think are a little more hit or miss for me, but in general, I like a dystopia, but I tend to prefer the ones that are a little bit more politically driven. Mail order bride. I'm gonna say this is another one that I'm a little bit trash for. Come on. I'm gonna say that's to put it in my eyeballs because I do really, really enjoy a mail order bride trope. I just think it creates a lot of the same conflict as marriage of convenience and fake dating. I love it. I do. I just love it. I'm trash for it. Okay, space as like frontier towns in space is something that I've recently realized I am really into. I think you get a lot of the kind of conflicts you get from a Western, but without a lot of the baggage that comes with a Western. So I've realized recently I do really enjoy that. Military speculative fiction, I'm gonna say, is good as a mix-in. I typically need something else going on in the story to really enjoy it, but I do like military sci-fi and fantasy for that matter. So yeah, we'll call that good as a mix-in. Okay, enemies to lovers, I'm gonna say is a hard sell for me. If two people genuinely, well, how to say this? No. I'm gonna call enemies to lovers execution dependent. No, I'm gonna call that, I do like enemies to lovers. Enemies to lovers is like where it's like star-crossed lovers. Like we are on two opposite sides of this war, but we have found love together. That I like, or like our two species hate each other, but I love you. Like, I like that. Hate to love, I'm gonna call execution dependent, because this is where like you personally have a problem with someone, and then by the end of the book I'm supposed to accept that you love each other. I think this can be amazing and I can love it, but often I don't think that they sufficiently sell either that they truly didn't like each other at the beginning or that they've truly overcome it. So I'm gonna call that one execution dependent. Political intrigue and machinations, that's gonna be, yep, I'm into it. I tend to really like that, for instance, in speculative fiction. If I see that kind of signaled on the back, that usually does seem like something I would like. The Dark Lord, I'm gonna say, much like The Chosen One, I'm gonna call that good as a mix-in. I don't like it as like the only thing happening, like if there's just a big bad who's omnipotent and like it seems impossible that anybody could actually beat him. That's not very fun, but as a mix-in, I think that this is a fun trope. And yes, it's cliched, but all tropes are, that's fine. It can still be done well. Ooh, cheating with friend or family. I'm gonna call that hot water trash. I'm calling that somewhat different than infidelity as the twist or conflict, particularly this idea of like, oh, you're cheating on me with my best friend, or oh, you're cheating on me with my sister. I hate it. I just hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Anyway. Have you gathered that I really don't like infidelity in my books? I just think it's boring and I'm sick of it. Okay, coming of age. I'm gonna call that good as a mix-in. I can like a pure Bildungsroman kind of situation. I can like a pure coming of age story. I usually need one other trope to go with it, but I do like it. I definitely do like it. Oh, I really do enjoy, I'm gonna call that, actually put it in my eyeballs, a epistolary or diary format. If I see that on the back of a book, I'm actually much more likely to pick it up. I think that it's just a fun format, and you don't see a ton of them, and I can't really think of many examples of ones I haven't enjoyed, so I'm gonna call that put in my eyeballs. Magic or special object. This is kind of like the MacGuffin, but I'm gonna call it, it's a little bit of a different trope, and I do like it still. I don't like it to be the only thing going on, but if you're on a quest for like the Holy Grail, cool. I like that in the mix as a part of the story. Secretly crazy. This is also, women be crazy is probably a better name for this one. I think Alexa called this the fatal attraction trope. Do I hate it? I think I hate it. Basically, this is like, you think this person is super cool, but like, surprise, they actually are super obsessive and like may try to kill you. I'm trying to think if there's ever been a version of that I've enjoyed, and I can't think of it. So I'm gonna say that that's hot water trash. I just think, again, we've evolved past the need for it. A fairy tale retelling is put it in my eyeballs if I see that on the back of a cover, especially a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but really any fairy tale retelling I am a sucker for. And then I would say classic retelling, I've had more mixed success with, so I would call that, yep, I'm into it, but it's not the same just like auto buy situation for me, but I do enjoy a classic retelling as well. Unlikable main character, I'm gonna call it good as a mix-in. I know a lot of people don't like unlikable characters, like, I don't know. I guess there's like, some people really need to super relate to their characters to enjoy them. That's not how I feel. Obviously these can be done badly to the point where you just like hate the main character, but I think often more people just don't specifically relate to their experiences and therefore call them unlikable. So anyway, I'm gonna call that good as a mix-in. Alpha hole is hot water trash. This is the stereotypical alpha male hero in romance novels. Think like the 80s bodice ripper kind of guy. If he's just unrepentantly misogynistic and domineering and completely trying to control the heroine, I hate it. I just hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Now, a protective alpha, that is put it in my eyeballs. And the difference is protective alphas, they're like, they want the heroine to be her best self. They are on team heroine, but like, if you come for her, they will destroy you. And I love that. Or like, they will also sometimes like, you know, if the heroine is like running herself into the ground, they're the ones who will like step in and be like, I am taking you for a spa day because you need a break. Like that version of an alpha, love it. That I'm into. And then a cinnamon roll hero, I mean, again, put it in my eyeballs. I love it. Like, these used to be called, I think, betas in a lot of cases, but like, it's just that like, these are emotionally fluent heroes. I love it. Also, this is a lot of hero thing, because I tend to like pretty much any type of romance heroine unless she's just too stupid to live. Oh, I should have put that as one. I don't like that. That's a hard sell for me, but I'm pretty down with almost any like female main characters in romances, but I have many more feelings about the male main characters. I love a virgin hero because usually that means we're either in a fantasy or sci-fi romance where they have like a fated mate and they like don't get with anyone until they have their fated mate, or in a contemporary, it usually means that he tends to be more on the emotionally fluent side and it leads to interesting backstories. So I like that as a trope as well. Okay guys, we're rounding the bend here. Not like other girls, hot water trash. That is one of the only female character types that I really honestly hate. That and Too Stupid to Live. Not Like Other Girls is basically like, oh, I don't have any female friends because women are so catty and those other girls are such sluts, but I'm a what? Like, I hate that. Again, we've evolved the past need for it. Can't stand it. Creepy or a haunted house, I'm gonna call that yep, I'm into it. I really do enjoy kind of like a ominous locale. As you can tell, snowed in, isolated, closed circle mystery, creepy haunted house, and then also a country house mystery. I would say put that in my eyeballs. I do tend to like kind of isolated or rural settings for my books. So that is consistent. Oh, I also love Is It a Ghost? That is like, we don't know if there's supernatural things happening, but there might be, and that's a big part of what we're gonna be finding out in the book. I really enjoy that as a trope a lot. Missing girl, I'm gonna call that one execution dependent because there are great missing girl stories. Like I recently read Little Monsters from Kara Thomas, which I think is a great version of that particular trope. Like I think that was a very effective version. But I do think it can be pretty boring and cliched if not handled with a little bit of pizzazz. So we're gonna call that one execution dependent. Oh, serial or copycat killer, that is something I'm definitely into. That tends to be one of my favorite tropes in mystery thrillers. I do love a serial killer. And then if they are to this next one, killing in a pattern, that is put it in my eyeballs. I love serial killers who are like in some sort of pattern serial killing. That is like my actual jam. Love it. Meta elements. Ooh, we're gonna call that, I'm gonna say yes, I'm into it. I almost said put it in my eyeballs. Sometimes you can't tell if a book is gonna have that until you get into it, but I do enjoy there being sort of a meta-textual element where the author is kind of winking to you and letting you know that they know you've read a lot in that genre, or they know you're reading a book right now. Like I tend to like that. A boarding school, that is put it in my eyeballs. I love it. Again, it's usually isolated. It usually has like a small community of found family kind of dynamics happening. I love it. I love it, I love it. Yeah, we're definitely seeing, now that I'm having all these laid out, it's like you can see some real themes here. A training montage. I'm gonna say that's as good as a mix-in. I recently was trying to read The Rage of Dragons and there is so much training in that book that I've realized I don't like it as the only thing happening in a story, but I do in theory like people learning how to do something, like either fighting or magic or whatever. Like I do tend to like that, but it can't be the only thing going on. And then forced proximity is put it in my eyeballs because it's sort of like the snowed in trope or only one bed. It just sets up such delicious conflict and I love it. So, there we go. There's like 80 tropes. Like you can see, I definitely do have some trends here in terms of what I enjoy character type wise and setting wise. That's what I'm seeing here. And then it's interesting also to see some of these things that I don't like as much. But anyway, that is my ranking. I'm gonna save this. And there we go. Those were forced tier ranking, a ton of tropes, most of the ones I could think of, though as you saw as we went, I thought of some more. But yeah, that was really fun. I enjoyed enjoyed ranting and raving about things I hate, as well as gushing about things I love. I've got this out on my tier maker account, so if you guys want to use this one, you are certainly welcome to do so. But let me know what some of your favorite and least favorite tropes are. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are you trash for, and what do you think is trash? Let me know that in the comments below. And yeah, I think that will do it for me for now. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you are having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!